Hello everyone, welcome to part 2. Now I'll do a bit of an update for you. So I ended up putting the belt and the pulley on, and also replaced that crank seal. Pretty straightforward, just like the way I removed everything in the last video. I also put the 2 new seals in the back of the compressor as well, so that's all ready now. Other than that, the intercooler I did have was a 600 by 300 by 100, and that would mean that I'd have to cut out these tabs and a bit of the headlight to fix, or the back of the headlight to fit that intercooler. So what I ended up doing was getting another intercooler. This one's 450 by 300 by 76. What I'll do now is I'll open it up, and hopefully this should fit perfectly. So we'll just see how that goes, and all going well, it should fit. Very minimal cutting and stuff. I did it up to get a black cooler for stealth reasons, as this is going to be a street car. Now I'll do this. This is also a bit thinner. I'd like to use a bit thicker, but I mean, I'm not going for big power, so not really too worried about having like the air temps and stuff like that, because really it's not anything special. What I do need to do is I need to remove the horn, but I'll try and mount the camera so we can get a basic idea. So theoretically now this should fit in between. I'm going to remove the horn. Give me a sec. Alright, so the horn's just held on by an 8mm inside. So just undo that quickly. Alright, so that's the horn out. Now the only other issue I think I'm going to have, let me just put this bolt back in so I don't lose it, is the power steering cooler, which is that there. I'm just going to test dummy the intercooler now, just to make sure I should have room if I don't need to do any cutting. And before I do actually mount it, I'll end up putting the radiator back in, and sit all the condenser in all properly, so there's no clearance issues. But let's just see if this fits. It doesn't. Alright, so let me disconnect that power steering cooler, which is just the 2 10mm underneath, I believe. Nope, 2 8s. So the same as that. Just sit that out of the way for a bit. And then the cooler's going to sit about there. But like I said, I need to so I'm still going to need to clear some of these tabs, just so I can sit the cooler a bit better. Now like I said, the other intercooler I had was 600mm long, so it ended up coming to about here, which means I would have had to cut a lot more, and it is a bit thinner. You should, I mean, I only need to cut a little bit off the main rear support at the front here. I don't know if you can see, but it's just touching the end tanks. So what I'll do first is I'll mark out where I think I need to cut. The cooler's going to sit about there, which is in line, which is flush with the radiator as well once it's in. And then the power steering, I could probably try manipulate it to go still behind it where it originally was, or I'll just run an external power steering cooler anyways. But yeah, let me just get some stuff and we'll get back into it. So what I'm going to do first is I'm actually going to put the radiator back in. and then once the radiator's in, I'll mount the condenser so I know exactly where that's going to sit, and then I can get correct measurements for everything. So I'll do that quickly and we'll come back to installing the intercooler. Okay, so radiator's back in, everything's connected and tightened, and the condenser's also bolted in. If you watch the previous video, you'll see how to remove it. Anyways, moving on. I'm gonna set up the camera where I had it before, and then just try test fit it. And so what I was saying before is where I need to cut. I might need to cut like a section out of here, just to fit the end tank, so the end tank can come in a bit forward. But I'll just see exactly how much we need to cut once I try test fit it. So I'll mount the camera and we'll get going. So it's hitting that air column line as well, so we'll have to bend that. But I don't know if you can see. Can you see in that bottom right corner? It's hitting the end tank. So I reckon if I cut a section out of that way we'll come forward a bit and most likely we'll clear that line. So I'm just going to try to get it centered, mark it out, and then slowly chop at it. I don't know if you can see the marks, you can't, so I'll just show you. So I've just marked there and there. What I'm going to do is I'm probably going to cut it a bit more on that side and come in a bit shorter on this side, just because I couldn't push it all the way because that AC line was there. So I'll chop a little bit out of that just so the tank can come forward a bit, and hopefully we clear that and we won't need to bend that pipe there. And that should be it, and I might need to do the same on the other side, just depending on how high up we need to come. So don't know how I'm going to mount the camera, but I'll mount it some way so you can sort of see me cutting it. Okay, so I've now transferred the lines on this side, just so it's easier for me to see and cut. I'm just going to use a saber saw. Don't know if I'm just going to cut straight and then just hammer it down, or I might just cut that whole section out and yeah, just see how we go. I'll just play it by what happens. Just going to put my safety glasses on. Nah, kidding. For 2 seconds it takes to put safety glasses on. Beats having something in your eye and losing it on the whole day of work. So yeah, let's get to it. So what I'll do now is I'll try hammer it down. I'm gonna need to cut more of that, I know I am, but I'll hammer it down now and see how it goes. So I was just looking at it. I think I'm just gonna cut the whole bottom lip off. Like, really, it doesn't really matter. So I think I'm just gonna do that now. How's in there? Alright, there's so the reason why it's knocking it, you see that little hump there? That's where I'm trying to cut it through, but just go again and try a bit slower. Now, not recommended, but send it anyway. That's it. So now, as you can see, that whole corner section is cut out. Should be enough room for the cooler to clear the tank, and hopefully it goes in and we don't need to cut anything else. Like I said, might just need to trim that a bit and that's it. So just mount the camera and we'll get the cooler. Alright, there you go. That's about where I want it to sit. Might even have to cut that plastic. It's sitting pretty flush at the bottom as well, the way I want it. So yeah, I think that's where I'm going to mount it. So what I'll do now is I'm just going to cut the edges of both of them, just because it is hitting the tank a bit, and that'll give me that little bit more that I need to come up. And yeah, that's basically. Then what I'll do is I'll prop up the intercooler so I can start making the tabs for it. And I'll see if I can put the power steering once the intercooler is mounted. I don't know if you can see. Sorry. Oh. See now how it sits in perfect where those tabs are. So it just gives me a bit more play. Alright, I'll get to the next bit. Guess propping up the cooler so I can make the top mounts for it. Okay, so now I'm just going to prop up the intercooler. Basically just use whatever you have. You can use milk crate, you can use books, you can use bricks, or you can use everything, all those items, whatever you have, to try put it in the place that you want to have it in, and that way you can make your brackets off that. So I'm just going to use a table that I've got. As you see, I need to go higher as well, so I've got a piece of wood too. The other thing you might want to use is a level, to make sure you get it level before you do mount it. In saying that, and then the only other thing you want to do is make sure you have it centered, so make sure you measure from like a point. I'm going to use the headlights as a reference, the bottom of the headlight, which is 50, and 50. Okay, so as you can see there, it's level. What I'm actually thinking of doing, so I'm trying to tilt it so it sits like that, the intercooler, just so I can feed these lines back through, because I can see here I've got a bit of a gap, and then that way if that goes in as well, that'd be perfect. I don't need to stuff around and do anything else. But in saying that, I'm glad I cut this side more, because as you can see, the intercooler is would have touched there and I would have had that same issue. So like, I didn't need to go all the way down there, but as that is getting close as well, depending on how much I want to angle it, depending on how much I need to angle it, as you can see there's a bit of a gap here where I can fit hopefully that power steering line back in. You know what, I might go get the other intercooler I have, the bigger one, and see, because I don't know, let's just do it anyways for science. Give me a sec, let me go grab it. Alright, here's the other one I have. Same thing, like I said, this one's just a bigger one. It's 600 by 300 by 100, so it's a bit thicker as well. Yeah, let's just see if this fits, because if this fits, clearly you want to use a bigger cooler. Not that like these are the best coolers to use, but budget build. It's not a high performance, high power build. So as you can see, size wise, not really. Size wise, that's a lot larger, and it is thicker, but let's just see if it fits. Come out table. So I could probably get it to fit. It just means I need to cut more of that. I need to cut a lot more of that mount, which goes into the main support. Yep, no. Back to the original one. So yeah, if I did want to put that one, I'd need to cut a lot more of what I've cut here, but even into the actual Rio itself. So where I've cut just this section here, I'd probably need to cut to about here. And as you can see, where I've cut it, it was just an additional lip to the existing Rio. So I'd have to cut into it. And yeah, I'm just going to use the other one. It just fits better. And like I said, it's not going to be a big power build. If it does ever become that, the aircon will end up coming out, and we'll make room where we need to. But alright, I'm just going to set it back up and we'll start making these tabs. Okay, so that's mounted now. As you can see, it's centered. The car's also centered, just so everything should line up perfect then. I did end up cutting this side as well, and ended up cutting more on this side too, just because I needed to push it forward. Like I said, I've put it on a bit of an angle so I can fit that power steering line in as well, or the cooler I should say. Should be enough room for me to get that in, but other than that, like I said, you just got to use whatever you got, just try to level it out. I've also you got to make sure that the piping is going to clear, so that's a straight edge there, or a straight line sort of. So I've got plenty of room over there to get the pipe going through this way, and same thing on this side here. So this side here's got a bit more room, but it's all right. Now underneath, make sure it doesn't sit too low. It is sitting lower than this section here, the rad support, but it's all right. I'm going to make the mounts anyways, but it's still not sitting lower than the lowest point. So other than that, I'm going to get some cardboard now, make some templates. I think I'm just going to come straight off there and into that, so I'll come up and straight on and screw it straight to the rad support, or else it's going to be just too big coming up this way here. So I'm going to go that way, and I'll do the tops first so I can hold it, and then I'll do the bottom. Okay, so I didn't end up having any steel that I thought I had, so I've just made these temporarily as like a template and to hold the intercooler in place. As you can see, it's still level. Get rid of this stuff here. There you go. So basically it's gonna sit like that. It is actually better to go up here than it is down here, because it would just sag a bit too much. At least this way it gets to be held, it holds it up a bit. Yeah, so like I said, this is just a temporary template. Basically that's what we're going to do. That's the way I'm going to do it. What I want to do now is work on the bottom. As you can see, I'm going to probably try first mount that power steering line, and then that way I can rest the cooler against the power steering line, and then do the bottom bracket to get that correct angle. So the bottom bracket, I'm just going to come off the bottom here and just go straight and then up onto the the radiator support, sorry. And yeah, so I should actually throw the bar on just to see what it looks like. So I might just do that quickly. And actually I'm going to do the power steering line first, then I'll throw the bar on, and then I'll worry about the bottom mounts. Okay, so I've put the power steering line in the back there, haven't screwed it up. I'll just show you, I've just pushed it up in there. You can see here that bolt there gets a bit close to the cooler, so I'll just cut that bolt down. Now the way this used to sit, can you see? You can't see. This tab here used to be on the inside, and then that would screw in through this bolt. One of the holes, I think you can see this one better. Yeah, so that hole there. This side here is actually hitting the intercooler, but that's fine. I'll just bend that back a bit, straighten it out, and that should be good. And then as for here, I'm just going to leave it as it is and just put longer screws in their existing holes. And that should hold it. Like really, it's not going to go anywhere anyways. The main concern is just that bolt there that's close to the fins. But yeah, that's how the cooler's going to sit, so I'm happy with that. The pipes look like they're going to go on nice as well. This side here, it might have a bit of an issue, but like I said, these are just temporarily on there, so I can always make it sit down a bit more, and that should give me that centimeter that I need or whatnot. Other than that, like I said, I'm just going to put the bar on. As for the horn, I'll probably just mount the horn like that, so at least we've still got a horn. What I'm going to do is just test fit the bar on now, just to see if I need to cut any of the bar off while I've got the saber saw out, and then that way I can then start working on the bottom mounts for the intercooler, and that should be it. As for the piping's pretty straightforward. It's just going to come through here underneath this section here, but I've got to put the battery in the back, which is going to go behind the passenger seat, and so that will be gone. And the other piping on this side is pretty straightforward. It will come out of here and go up through this section here, and we'll follow that line of that intake and go around. The turbo is going to sit somewhere around here, which reminds me I'm going to have to move that, I think, because that's what I did on the EL. But the EL was set up a bit different, so I might actually make the turbo sit somewhere around this area. Yeah, I might make it sit around here, and then I can run the pod. So I might even angle it a bit onto this way so I can clear that, and I don't have to move that, and that can stay where it is. But yeah, we'll worry about that when I get to the exhaust side of things. Main thing first is just to mount this, put the bar back on, that way that's all done, run the piping, and yeah, then we can work on the actual turbo hot side of things. Okay, so this side here I've lined it up properly, and this side here I couldn't bolt it up, so I've just bolted it up in one of the other holes that's there, so that's not 100% lined up. And as you can see, it is hitting the cooler on the inside there. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to just chop the top and leave the bottom, so then that way at least it can hang down like that underneath the cooler, and you won't see it, just give it a bit more sleekness to it. But I'll just see how I go with mounting. If not, then I'll chop it, because the only thing I also see is the way the piping is going to run. It's going to hit this bottom section anyway, so I might just bring it out, cut this all that way there. Just yeah, I just want to sit it, get it flush, and then I'll worry about the underneath side of things. So like I said, I'm just going to get a texter, and well, I don't really need a texter, but I'm just going to mark out that I know that this side here to about here needs to be cut, so I'll just mark that. And on this side here the same, so about here. Anyways, I'll take the bar off and I'll cut that up and back to refitting. Okay, so with one little cut, both the sides are now lined up into the correct spots. Just got to tighten them down a bit, but as you can see, that's how much I've cut off on both sides, and it does fit, but it still has this little bulge here. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut majority of this inside out, and then yeah, that should sit a lot flush. So it doesn't need much more, so I'm just going to cut, I think, half of whatever's there. So I'm just going to cut half of that and we should be good. So I'll do that and you'll see it shortly. Okay, as you can see, I cut this much out, but I still, I didn't want to cut all the way to that line there, but it looks like I'm going to have to, just because I'm going to have issues with the actual piping, especially on this side here. As you can see, don't know if you can see that. No, probably can't from up there. So as you can see here, if you can see, it's in the pipe in there. So what I'll do is I'll just cut it flush with that little section off. So what's that, another 10 mil, and cut all that off, and yeah, that should be it. But as you can see underneath, it sits perfect. So the reason why I want to do that is you won't be able to see like the bottom of the cooler. So what I'll do is I'll make more brackets, and you might just see the brackets, but yeah, it should be good like that. Alright, I'll take it off one more time, do the final cut, and that should be it for the front bar. Alright, getting there. So that's that other section that I cut out. As you can see, the front bar clears the intercooler, which is good. I just put the grill on so I can see what it all looks like, make sure everything clears. The horn will be mounted on this bracket there, but clearly not on this one, but the one that I'll make. Like I said, I didn't need to cut that, but it is what it is. Still have the slots for the grill, which is good. Now underneath, I'm going to leave it as it is for now, because until I mount the top with the correct brackets, I don't want to start stuffing around here and trying to mount this, and then there's an issue with the new brackets and then everything's just out of whack. So I'll do, once I make the new brackets, then I'll mount the power steering cooler, then also mount the bottom of the intercooler, and then we can start stuffing around with the piping. Other than that, that's going to be it for this video. In the next video, I'm going to make all these brackets, and I'll mount all the power steering, the intercooler off camera, so we can go straight into the piping side of things. So first we'll run, I'll run the cold side piping, because that's pretty straightforward. As for the hot side, I'll take the battery out, I'll just run the piping to where it's going to come out through the bottom, and then we'll go straight into making the J pipe. So I'll make the J pipe. Like I said, I want the turbo to sit somewhere around here, so I can keep the overflow bottle, and then we can finish making the hot side piping, and then we'll take off the sump, put the drain hole in there for the turbo, run all the turbo lines, and we should be ready for boost. But yeah, other than that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys for the next one.